Hey YouTube, I wanted to come on here today and make a quick video about some books. Some uh, some books that I think really get to the heart of non-dual mysticism. These are books that are relatively short, pretty easy to get into, and pretty accessible, especially when you start to grasp the type of material and the different concepts of what they're really getting at. Um, And so, just to clarify a little bit of context, um, mysticism, I think, is a very important strain of religion. When you go into different religious traditions, whether that be Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, and Buddhism, um, there are mystic aspects of the religions that I think are very important to follow because these are the more, what I would quote unquote, say the spiritual aspects of these religions are. And that basically goes into the experiential aspects of being, of our being. Um, and these in the modern day are still very philosophically alive. They are very These mystic aspects of these religions are very important for neuroscience currently, philosophy. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Um, for neuroscience, specifically active inference and predictive processing, um, and philosophy, problems of mind, phenomenology, consciousness. And so these are all very important. And so these are some books that outline some different ways of thinking, some frameworks, making it accessible, especially to Western readers. And also have some important practices that really, really help. So the first book I'm going to recommend is The Wisdom of Insecurity by Alan Watts. Um, this book is relatively short, and it's an incredible book. It really gets into the heart of the kind of paradoxical nature of a lot of this sort of um, like basically inquiry or intellectual traditions. Because in mysticism, there's a lot of contradictions at the heart of it. But those contradictions are inherent to the nature of what they're trying to describe, specifically in the nature of like non-dual awareness and the nature of ego and self, Atman and Brahman, our lowercase s self and our uppercase s self. It gets into that. And I think it's very important, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who's beginning their journey or just is looking for some sort of spiritual inspiration. This is a really fantastic book, and it's very accessible. It was written in the middle of the 1900s, and it reads like it is from today. It's great. The second book that I have is this book called No Boundary by Ken Wilber. Ken Wilber is a transpersonal psychologist, and he's very famous for his integral philosophy and integral theory, which seeks to synthesize a lot of different spiritual, psychological, and philosophical traditions from around the world and throughout history. He's a bit of an interesting figure, but his philosophy is extremely good. I find this a very accessible book into mysticism, especially paired with Alan Watts' The Wisdom of Insecurity. This gets into the phenomenology the way that boundaries get erected in our experience of reality and our experience of consciousness, and how when you thoroughly investigate those boundaries, they disappear. They're illusions. And this really helps frame non-dual awareness and the different aspects of our experience and how they create suffering. This is a very practical book, and it goes into different therapy modalities and understanding kind of this stratified or hierarchical picture of our being, whether that be our physiology, our persona, our ego, and then also these kind of transpersonal brands of psychology, like Carl Jung's psychology, Gestalt therapy, and things like that. It really gets to the heart of these sort of meditative, contemplative, mystic traditions, and it's very good. It's very good. The next one I have is called The Observing Self, Mysticism and Psychotherapy, by Arthur Diekman. This is a great book. It talks about Western psychotherapy, Freudian psychotherapy, Carl Jungian psychotherapy, and just that tradition in itself, and how basically it is empty at its center. And that's where it can actually, you can go back in and from what we can learn and gain from mysticism, find that center of it. There's this sense of I-ness that we all really have deeply embedded in our being. And it's this sense of I-ness that remains unchanged from when we are born to when we die. And that psychotherapy has these kind of, because its philosophical foundations, especially in the West, are built off of, Descartes, like I think, therefore I am, placing this I-ness in this thinking, it misses these core aspects that other spiritual traditions around the world really hone in on. And so it's through applying what we can learn from mysticism to Western psychotherapy that we can understand ourselves better and really get to the core of our being, this awareness that everything is arising within already. This non-dual awareness that holds all. It is ever fresh. It is silent and it is still. And it's in this space between thoughts. It's in this space between everything. It's what I think Jacques Lacan calls the real. But I'm not super well read on Lacan. That's just kind of my own interpretation of it. This is a great book. The last two books are these. I'll start with this one. This is the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching, it is the core text of Taoism. It is perfect in the sense that it really gets to non-dual awareness, the Tao. This is that spiritual life, those true undercurrents of the universe that when we live in accordance with them, it brings forth these qualities of compassion and empathy and love and beauty and awe and peace and equanimity. This really, it's wonderful. It really helps serve as a kind of this guiding light for your journey as you're moving forward into this kind of non-dual mysticism. It really helps ground these things in terms of like the qualities of it. Hindus say that Atman is Brahman in the ways that the Atman dissolves into Brahman, and the qualities of Brahman are just like the qualities of the Tao in these universal kind of senses, this kind of Neoplatonist one, the one. This groundless ground of being is what Meister Eckhart calls it. Other Buddhist, like Chen Buddhism, calls it the infinite mirror. This is a fantastic book. There's another one that I will now throw in that goes with this. This is an extra book. Oh my gosh. 6 books. This one is called The Infinite Mirror. This one is by Chan Master Shen Yen. It's a fantastic book. I'm still reading it. This one I'm not done with, and the last book I'm not done with. But this also really gets into that, and it's talks about like this kind of intersection between Taoism and Buddhism. It's great. The last one is The Secret Path by Paul Brunton. This is one for people who are looking to actually develop a practice of mysticism, contemplation, and meditation. This goes into the important aspects of a practice of mental quiet, self-analysis, breathing exercises to help control thoughts, how to awaken intuition, how to awaken to what Paul Brunton calls the overself, which is this non-dual awareness, this ever-present sort of thing, this something in us that we can't really name very well. It goes into these practices. I'm reading it, I'm annotating it. It's fantastic. If you're looking to develop a practice, I do recommend this book a lot because it helps really outline the intricacies and the nuances of a practice in non-dual mysticism and meditation and contemplation. It helps serve as a guiding light for that. And for me, as someone who's looking to do that in my own life, this is very helpful and I find it very illuminating. So those are the books that I'm recommending, and I hope that you find this video helpful.